Welcome to the Encouragement Engineering Podcast, where we combat the negativity that inundates our daily lives with a positive perspective and positive actions. Today's guest is Hope Reger. Now, I must warn you, today's guest scenario is a bit different but powerful. Living through immense tragedy, Hope's passion and purpose is Grief to Hope, a virtual peer support group she created in honor of her son, who was murdered at age 19 in 2016. For the past 4 years, Hope has worked incredibly hard to figure out why she was given this pain and needed to find her purpose. With events of COVID and the constant news of death, Hope could not imagine having gone through grief alone or not having a service. That's when she created Grief to Hope, to allow a safe space for anyone dealing with grief to go to for hope, positivity, and support while being their authentic self. Helping others helps Hope heal. It is her purpose and passion and the most incredible way to honor her son, Justin, forever. So please welcome to the show, Hope Reger. Hope, thank you so much for being here today.
You're very welcome.
My condolences to you and your family and the power that you gained from this tragedy. I think will be immense, learning experience for our audience. So thank you for your time today.
Absolutely. I'm honored to be here.
Well, great. Well, Hope, as I mentioned in our previous conversation, I don't want to, your bio states what occurred. I don't want to go into that, but I do want to focus on the positiveness of this. And I know people say, well, what's positive about that? And it's not the event that's positive, but I think it's what you learn from it. And can you maybe help people to understand that a little bit, being in?
Absolutely. Before, I always have the before Justin and the after Justin, right? And if you're a griever, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You have, what you were like before and then what your life is after. And before, I was always positive and sunshine and roses and bouncing off the walls, and everybody came to hang out and just, we always had a good time if Hope was around, right? And then after Justin passed, everybody, I think, expected that same hope to return. Yeah. And I wanted that same hope to return, right? But I knew there was a line that I had to draw in the sand, and I lost Justin, but I didn't want to lose hope, right? Wow. Physically, mentally, I didn't want to lose hope. And so I thought, what a better way to honor my son than to get back to where I want to be. I'll never be the same, right, but where I want to be and grow and add some value to others. And I tell everybody, he's my biggest fan, right? Yeah. I can't let him down. So that's why I thought I had to find myself. I had to find that old Hope that I loved, and that everybody loved. I'm a little different, but I'm still that same positive spirit.
And that's a great scenario to think about, because I lost my mother when I was 6 years old, and I remember the day of her funeral getting dressed and the sun was coming up, and I realized, you know what, no matter what occurs, the earth still turns, the sun still rises. And you've shown that just in that statement. And it's interesting. I'm not discounting by any means, because I know it's hard to deal with any type of death, especially of a child, but your positivity that you wanted to get back to what you wanted and what you were before. Like you said, there's nothing better than having an angel as your number one fan. And
right.
That's pretty powerful. With the idea, it's interesting you say the positive support for others. When you went through this, did you have that positive support? I mean, your family, did you have other family that obviously come together to make sure everybody's all right? How did that work out for you?
Absolutely. My husband was a huge supporter. He was Justin's stepfather at the time, but I don't have a really close relationship with my family. Besides, I have another son, Brian, and my granddaughters, who are my world. Mm-hmm. They will brighten your day, as you would know if you had grandkids. I don't know, no. But they are amazing, and just being around them makes me laugh and smile. But having a support system, I went through counseling, regular counseling. And she was the one that really sparked the saying that Hope, he passed away, you didn't.
Right.
And you have to find that way to, find that way back, and it won't be the same. You'll never be the same, but you will be you're still that positive, inspiring person. And that's who you need to find. And it won't come fast, right?
Yeah.
I'm a planner, so I'm like, okay, in 3 months I better be happy, in 6 months I better be, and it
Right.
didn't work that way, darn it.
Yeah.
But a grief share was a group. So basically I went through grief share, and what I found with grief share, which is a Christian based grief group, it was great. However, I felt that the connection with the people was really what I was yearning for.
Right.
So when I created Grief to Hope, that's what I wanted to uncover, was that relationships that I had. And that's really what got me through a lot, was to know that there was people out there who knew exactly what I was feeling. The anger, the sadness, the hate, I was mad at God. I was mad at, God for taking my son,
Right.
when there's other people out here that are on the earth. And, you go through that, all these kinds of stages that if you haven't been through grief, it's really hard to understand.
Right.
And that was one of the things that with Grief to Hope I wanted to convey is you're not alone. And, when people ask you, how can I help? When you're grieving, you don't even know like what you're wearing that day or brushing your teeth, let alone, how others can help you. So we sort of understood, and we come to that understanding of each other, just knowing how that person feels and how they're dealing with, and we find out, oh yeah, I dealt with that right after. And,
Right.
and 3 months into it, yeah, I dealt with that too. And it's just that common ground.
That's an interesting piece you mentioned, is you don't know really, as a person grieving, you're kind of lost in the fog, if you will, and those asking to help don't, it's they're not sure what to do. What are some things people might be able to look at that could help people in those situations grieving? Because it is a touchy subject. You can only, you sympathize, but you may not understand the experience at all, whether it's anyone that's passed away. It's, higher emotions or lower emotions. But what are some things people can do that would help somebody in that grieving time period?
I love that question. So glad you asked me that question. First and foremost, the blank slate. How can I help? Or if you need me, I'm here. Just let me know. Because when you're grieving, you will never hear from that. You won't even know what you need or what you want. So one of the things that we uncovered in Grief to Hope when we talked about was a perfect scenario of finding a person that you trust, a best friend, a sister, a mother, a daughter, a spouse, that you can say, look, I really need help picking up the kids. I really need a babysitter. I really need groceries. I really need somebody to take Fido for a walk. Let that trusted person know that. And so when people come to you and say, how can I help? You can say, look, my sister knows exactly what I need right now. And she can tell you and you can help. And then it's a win-win, because everybody does want to help, right?
Yeah.
They do truly want to help, and they don't know how to even approach it sometimes.
Right.
So if you find that trusted person that you could say, be honest with, nobody wants to tell anybody I can't cook, or, I can't pick up, groceries, especially when it's a spouse or a child. When you have that trusted person that can let them know, say, hey, Hope really could use help with this.
Right.
Or send a card, like Hope, in 3 months, send a card to Hope. Let her know you're thinking of her. Because, as we progress with grief, for whatever reason, everybody goes back to normal, but we don't, right?
Oh, yeah, right.
So in 3 months, when everybody's back to normal, and it's sort of, we're not there yet.
Right.
So having that reassurance of saying, hey, I'm thinking about you today, is a big lift too.
Good. Thank you for that, because that's always it's helpful on the person that wants to help. So I appreciate that. So thank you for doing
Absolutely.
that. How do you share your positive hope with your other your other son? And the grandkids. I mean, I know it was a turmoil to go through. How do you share that with them so they continue with a positive belief as you have?
It's funny because a lot of people say, Hope, I can't believe you lost a child. You don't act like that. You don't act like it. And I'm like, what does that mean exactly?
Right.
But I think I know what they mean. Like, or
Yeah.
they'll say, I would have never imagined you have lost a child. Um, and that's because I tell this quote all the time that when people that grieve have more strength in them than most people will ever imagine in their lifetime. And that's because they have to go on living, right? So it's the mother that has to get up each and every day to pack the other siblings lunch when she's lost her son, or make holidays the greatest, Easter, Halloween. You'd rather crawl in bed and not deal with it, but you can't because you have other children. So the strength that people that grieve is huge. It's humongous, and it's the strongest people you'll ever meet in your life. I tell that all the time. But for my family, I teach them the power of never taking anything for granted, go for the gusto, right? I took them to Disney and we blew so much money and had such a great time. I said, never again, but we lived it to the fullest, right? Yeah. And I think if I teach them anything, it's, we go to Justin's grave and we say, we love you. And we make sure that we say his name. And I try to instill it in my kids and my oldest son. He runs a small business and he's so successful right now. And I just tell him, keep doing what you're doing and just keep believing in yourself and creating that positive. So I hope that as my grandkids get older and they, realize what I'm doing, they will sort of follow in this step. But I don't know. They may be like, no way, Nana. But I'm so very, very proud of my son and what he's accomplished. And I hope that the positivity wears off on all of them.
And that's, a great way to live, because it shows, like we've said, it's, you've got to continue. That's very hard to begin with. And that's a great way to give admiration to that person, is do it well, live decency, knowing that, like you said, it could go at any time. None of us are guaranteed any time here. But the time we have is precious, and sharing that positivity, that your name says it all. Having the name of, I mean, that's why God gave you this. He knew with your name that, hey, you can handle it.
I tell everybody, I said, I didn't pick the name,
yeah,
but it goes well. It goes well.
Yes, it definitely does. And that brings into the idea of, assuming your faith had a lot to do with your strength and carrying you through this.
So, being a Christian to me is very valuable. And I talked to God right before I came and said, oh, please give me the right words to say, right? And he's always been in my life. But I didn't grow up in the church, and I'm not very well educated. But after Justin had passed, I think grief share and church and I got more educated in it. I have a long way to go, but it's absolutely carried me through. And I really believe my sole purpose is what is God given to me. And that I wake up every day because he's not done with me yet. So that's the way I feel. I'm still useful right now here. And I talk to him daily. Yeah. And I just pray and say, please give me the words that I need to say to whoever it is I'm talking to today.
Right. And that's what's interesting with that is, even in your professional side of your life, that can be critical. You deal with talent management, and that's saying those positive words, helping reinforce opportunities and growth and correction. those are key things, not only in what you do, but as well as your purpose with Grief to Hope. And it sounds like you're doing quite a job with it. It's uh, definitely been learning, and we all do. So I definitely appreciate that, and I know it's going in all parts of your life. So continue that great work. Um, what are
Thank you.
some things that that you do to continue on your positive path? Like, if you could give 3 secrets of what you do, maybe on a daily basis, that could help people to continue on that positive path.
Oh, I love that question. I work out every day. I hate it. No, I do go to the gym, and I try to push myself to run, which is like the worst thing ever, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
Nobody likes to run. I don't like to run. But I challenge myself each day at the gym. This morning, I said, "Oh, please just hit 1.5 miles. That's all I need." And I end up doing that. And then I'll say, "Okay, 1 more minute. You could do 1 more minute." And that's what I think is the power of hope and the power of positivity, is just pushing yourself that little step further. But it gives you strength in your confidence and in your courage to know that you accomplished something. And even if that task is small. And when it comes to grief, if you get out of bed and you take a shower that day, and that is way better than you did yesterday, that is awesome. And you should feel good about that. Baby steps are what happens in grief. And don't forget, like, I describe grief as like a heartbeat monitor. I know I'm going a little off topic, but the heartbeat monitor is like, you have the ups, and then it's steady, and then you have the ups, and then the downs, and then it's steady. And every day, as you get further and further out, that steadiness may be longer, but it still happens. You still have those dips. So when I'm doing my everyday work, I listen to motivational speaking. I get on the treadmill. I quit smoking 6 months after Justin passed. I said, "God, listen, if you can help me with anything right now, could you help me quit smoking?" And he did. Yeah. And so everybody asked me how I quit smoking cold turkey. And I said, I prayed. I prayed, and that was about all I did. So
yeah,
just
you don't want the other part of the equation. So
yeah, exactly. So it's just it's just moving every day that small bit, and be proud of those moments that you make it a little bit further. And like, it took me probably 3 months to listen to a song that I played at Justin's funeral, and without crying. I could listen to it, but I couldn't. Yeah. And so once I listened to it, I was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
A little bit each day. And it's just so good to accomplish things. That's probably the biggest takeaway.
And that's what you remind me when you say that. Just 1 more minute. Zig Ziglar had that famous story that he talked about when he ran, and just a mailbox, and then another mailbox, and then another mailbox. Pretty soon you're running 2 miles, and no one, what do you mean? And that's that one more, that push, because it builds that strength. It builds, especially with positivity. I always think of it like you have 2 cups of water. One's full of dirty water, and one's full of clean water. And if you take the dirty one and you pour the clean one into it, eventually it'll wash all that dirt out. And we got to continue to do that on a daily basis. We got to wash out the mess and the crud that life will throw at us every day. If we turn on the blue tube, you're going to hear all that mess and stuff, and reiterate it again and again. Yeah. And you got to keep getting that cleanliness, like you said, the motivation, the encouragement, that one more thing that you can do, just taking that step. Get up out of the bed. Mel Robbins has a great book, about getting past the fears and getting past, like a rocket, do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you're up and you're doing it. And, it does make a difference in people's life, a little push. So.
Yes. I should have done the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 this morning trying to get up, because I was saying, okay, it's either today or tomorrow, Hope. It's today or tomorrow.
Yeah, it's some days, it definitely, I know what you mean. It's fortunately for me, and unfortunately, at the same time, it's like I'm waking up before my alarm goes off. Like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, all right, well,
I know.
2 more minutes,
I
two more
know.
minutes.
I know. I do that. And I've heard so many people say, the most successful people get up like at 4 a.m. And I'm like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'll do 5:30, but not 4.
Well, I'm one of those early risers. I get up because I take that time in the morning to have my quiet time, that time with God, if you will, focus, read something, prayers, focus on things I need to get done, and do some workout. And then, I can get stuff done with work and everything like that before most people even know you're on the system and before they realize something's broke. So it saves
Right.
a lot of headache. But,
That's awesome. It does start your day out right? Like I
does.
feel better when I work out, not getting there and doing it, but after it's done, I feel darn great.
Yeah. What is the trusted help? You mentioned that too in your bio about having trusted help. And you mentioned it too here. That is such a comfort level. Is that something that we should build no matter what happens, do you think, in your life?
Trust,
like your trusted help. You mentioned your trusted help, having that person that knows what you want. Is that something that you could possibly recommend people do that no matter what's going on in your life, to have that confidant, if you will?
Absolutely. I think everybody deserves that. I think everybody deserves to be one and to have one. You want to have that person that you can be authentic with, because there is nothing worse than trying to put on a mask every single day of your life and not be able to be your authentic self. To have that person that and I have that person that I can say, you know what, today was horrible, and I cried all the way home. Or if one more person asked me how many kids I have, because that's just the most awkward question for me. It used to be. Now I've sort of figured out how I'd like to answer it. But when people would ask, and I'm sure with spouses, are you married? And if your spouse is like that, those are awkward questions sometimes when you're dealing with grief. And so having that person that you can confide in and to really focus in on you and be authentic, I think is huge. But also to allow yourself to do that for others. I can't imagine not being able to sit in grief to hope and not allow them to be authentic with me, and to listen to their stories and understand. And a lot of times I don't have the answer. Right. A lot of times I can't fix it for them, right, but I can absolutely let them tell me and be themselves and understand what exactly that feels like. Right. And most of the time when you're grieving, that's all they want. They just want you to understand it and get it, and don't judge, right? Judging is so hard. Right. Like I just, I don't have the right to judge anybody, and we all do it. But I think when you're grieving, the last thing you want to do is like, am I a horrible mom because, I didn't go to the grave for a month? Those kind of guilt feelings that you feel. So absolutely. I think trust in a friend or trust in help is crucial.
When you're in these sessions and with the group, if you will, how do you keep from carrying the burden of others, if you will? I mean, you're hearing some heavy things, you've been through it, but what about for those that maybe haven't been through it but want to help with a group like that? How do they not carry that heavy burden around with them? Because I'm sure that they'll take a portion of that that's stuck in their mind, and then, that starts to eat at you. You're thinking about it. How do you help, if you will, be like the duck and get the water to run off the back a little easier to help, while you're helping others?
I think that the biggest thing with helping others is the feeling that you get in the helping of the others, right? So I think carrying a burden for others is hard, and to listen to others when you just want to fix them. And in Grief to Hope, listening to them and being that person that they can bounce off of their ideas, and then, they may take it home to their spouses. And then it's sort of like everybody, I think, eventually gets to the point where they're like, when's she going to get back to normal? Right? Why? I'm so done with her being sad, or I'm so aggravated of hearing this. And I know that, it hurts, but I don't really get it, but I do get it. And I think just patience is so key. Right now, when you deal with any grieving, or deal with anybody dealing with anything, divorce, lost jobs, with COVID right now, everybody's mental health is sort of crazy. And I think it's just having that patience of saying, it's okay. I'm here, and we'll get through this together. And it's patience. I don't think we have enough of it.
Yeah. No, we're in a microwave society, in a crockpot world. It's I want everything now and yesterday, and we do. And I work on that all the time too. My patience sometimes wears a little too thin when it shouldn't, and you got to have that time. You got to take the time. So, well, wow. This has really been something, Hope. Where can people find out more about you, Grief to Hope, all your sites and so forth? Where can they find out more about you?
Absolutely. www.grief2hope, the number 2 hope support.com is my website. And on that website, you can send me an email and get in touch with me, just to chat, to talk, to find out about the program. I'm also on Facebook, Hope Reger. There's also Grief to Hope Facebook. And I also have a group that you can join. It's a private group. So, when we're not in session, you can sort of ask the group, hey, this happened today, or what do you think about this? So it's a private group you can belong to. On Instagram. I'm not that great at Instagram.
Me neither. I hear you.
Right. But hey, I'm a whiz at Facebook. No, I think that, if you want to find anything out about me, just ask me. I'm completely transparent. I'll be happy to talk with you. If you're hesitant, or you want to send somebody my way, just to talk, absolutely. Hit my website up. You can contact me there.
Right. And that's, I got to reiterate, is people listening, if you're going through anything like this, check it out, because what you're doing, Hope, the attitude you have with the positivity, the smile, thank you for that, because we need that today, no matter, whether you've had a bad day or you're going through a grief issue. Hope sounds like she can help. I mean, she's fun, she has energy, she's learned a lot, she's grown a lot from scenarios that most of us don't want to be in. And I got to commend you, Hope. You're doing a great job. I mean, I really appreciate what you're doing, and your attitude about being positive and focusing on that growth. It's a great thing you're doing.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words.
Oh, not a problem. Well, Hope, thank you. I'm going to list all this information on the podcast information, so that we, the listeners have it, they'll see it, they'll hear it. And is there anything else you want to let our audience know?
No, check out, the website. And like I said, I am transparent. So ask me anything about anything. If you're going through grief right now and you just need to just talk, reach out. That's what we're all here for. So I look forward to hearing from anybody and everybody that would like to join. And thank you for having me.
Well, Hope, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being a guest on the Encouragement Engineering podcast.
Thank you.
All right.